Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. We are grateful to have you here. My name is Nancy Correa, Principal at St. Peter and Paul School. I would like to thank Dr. Peter and Mrs. Peter for their generosity of founding Specialty Family Foundation and also for investing heavily in the inner city schools whereby the children would not have had the opportunity of attending Catholic schools were it not for their generosity. Thank you.
All these schools have a Dr. Peter story.
One afternoon, it was raining very, very hard during the month of April.
When he phoned and was talking to me about Immaculate Conception School.
Met Dr. Peter coming through the front door.
He called up, cold called the school and asked if I'd be interested in receiving a donation.
And he knew so much about the school already, and we had never met.
It sounded a little fishy. I wasn't really quite sure what to expect.
The next thing they knew, they had a new partner.
Dr. Peter was dripping wet from the rain, and he asked if he could spend some time with me.
A partner in their vision and their future.
He walked into my office and said, "Leona, I know the principals at the Catholic school has lots of hats to wear, and my goal here is to relieve you of one of those hats."
A partner that saw potential for growth.
When talking about the history of Specialty Family Foundation, it's important to understand my parents' history. They both were raised in families where education, Catholic education, was very important, and their parents and grandparents made sacrifices to ensure that they had the opportunity to take advantage of a Catholic education.
Catholic schools make a contribution, not only to the Catholic community, but also to the common good of our society.
I have nieces and nephews, cousins and aunts and uncles who went through Catholic education from elementary, high school, on to college and universities. They're all very successful stories, including plastic surgeons, teachers, doctors, lawyers.
My parents made many sacrifices so that the 7 of us could have the benefit and the opportunity of a Catholic education.
My parents sent all 7 of us to Catholic high school because he valued the education.
You realize the foundation that you got from the Catholic school and the person that it made you, the person that you've become. I would never have my kids not in a Catholic school.
He held 2 jobs and paid for 5 of us to attend high school at the same time.
Watching them make the sacrifices that they made for our family in order for us to do that gave us and them a glimpse into the terrific sacrifices that parents in the inner city make, most especially so that their children have an education.
Many of these families would not have been able to be at any of these schools, especially St. Peter and Paul School, if it were not for the generosity of Specialty Family Foundation.
The Specialty Family Foundation's mission statement is to alleviate the conditions that lead to persistent poverty. Dr. and Mrs. Peter created this foundation and knew that they would have to have a focus. And so they chose Catholic schools as a primary focus.
My parents strongly believed that education, and in particular Catholic education, is the pathway out of poverty for those students and their families.
The students who attend Catholic schools have an exceptional opportunity whereby they have a caring environment.
Dr. Peter was a scientist and believed in database decision making. He knew that Catholic schools work with children. You walk into these schools and they're just oases.
St. Peter and Paul School is an oasis in the city.
Dr. Peter looked at the landscape of Catholic education and he saw that Catholic schools were struggling.
He said, "What is your greatest concern?" And I said, "Each time I go into that classroom and I see any empty desks, I know those are children who are not getting a Catholic education, a strong faith-based education that should be available to them." And Dr. Peter said, "That's exactly why I'm working with this, setting up the Specialty Family Foundation to be able to help those children."
He came to the conclusion that there were 3 very basic elements that our inner city elementary Catholic schools needed in order for long-term viability and sustainability. And those 3 elements are, they needed a focus on development and marketing.
St. Odilia's enrollment is at capacity. Our after-school program, our SOAR, St. Odilia's Academic and Recreational Program, is thriving.
They needed a strong principal-pastor team.
And we treat each parent as a unique person. And that is why I meet with each parent individually to see where they are and how we can help them educate their child.
Our pastor, Father Raymond, has placed me here because of the importance that my order places on education.
And third but not last, they needed a board, an on-site board that was actively engaged and involved.
What better gift could you give your child than to have them develop faith, hope, and charity? But on top of that, an outstanding education that will carry them on into high school and through college.
Ultimately, the goal of all of our schools, whether they be private, Catholic, parochial, are to serve the students.
I was very fortunate to meet Dr. Peter when I was a teacher here at Nativity. And I remember thinking even back then how much of a visionary he was and wanting to create something for our schools that would be here even long after him.
And I think what Dr. Peters really left is a legacy of giving to these schools that can transform lives.
My oldest son is actually a director for the Department of Labor and has 2 degrees. He was pushed by one teacher here to really go to college.
I'm so impressed that Dr. Peter, along with his wife and the family, made the decision to start the Specialty Family Foundation. At his point in his life and his career, he really did not need to do this work, but he was compelled to give back to a system that had been so successful for him and his family.
He donated $10,000 for science and technology. That was his first gift to our school.
Dr. Peter helped us build our playground. He helped us begin our library.
Our students have received support, which they would not be able to get unless they were here.
It was just a marvel to have him working here with us.
He was a tremendous friend and ally for your school.
And when I sit and I look at these schools, 5, 6, sometimes 7 years removed from that first meeting with Dr. Peter, I see schools whose enrollments are up, whose funds are up. And I see, more importantly, a change in their view of their own future. It's a direct result of him going into those schools on his own volition.
I would like to thank Dr. Peter and Mrs. Peter for their generosity.
Dr. Peter certainly was an angel in our life, and we certainly wouldn't be thriving as we are today.
The community of St. Anne's School will be forever grateful to Dr. Peters and the Specialty Family Foundation. Without them, I think it's fair to say that St. Anne's may not even be in existence and certainly wouldn't be what it is today.
He's a saint in my mind, and what he started is wonderful, and it's great to see it continue with his daughter Deb at the helm. And we are so grateful at the Archdiocese and the Department of Catholic Schools to partner with the Specialty Family Foundation.
Thank you to both Dr. Peter and Mrs. Peter Joan for giving us wings and teaching us how to fly.
Thank you, Specialty Foundation, for helping us in supporting St. Eugene School to become a beacon of hope and excellence for the community.
Thank God for people like Dr. Peter and Mrs. Peter for putting these children first, for putting schools first, and for putting education first, Catholic education first. Without them, who knows where we would be.
So, from earth to heaven, thanks, Dr. and Mrs. Peter, for all that you have done.
On behalf of my family, my brothers and sisters, many of whom are here this evening, and our board of directors at Specialty Family Foundation, thank you very much for honoring my parents. I know that they're up in heaven smiling down on this event tonight, but I also know they're saying there's a lot of work to be done. Don't rest on your laurels. Keep moving forward. There's lots of kids and their families out there that we all need to serve. Thank you.